All right, here we are. Welcome to our Thursday Q&A call. As always, Adam Ringler, and I am here to answer your questions related to achieving peak performance well past your playing days. So, if you're watching this, you are part of our Skool community, right? And if this video is public, because sometimes I try to share some of these Q&A calls with the wider audience, just again to invite more members into our Skool community, the former athlete society. So if that is you and you're watching this on YouTube and you're not exclusively already on our Skool community, our platform, the former athlete society, then this community exists simply for one reason. And that reason is to help you navigate your playing days into your professional days. So often I see this, right? As a college coach, I see our athletes graduating, moving on. Maybe they play pro, maybe they don't. If they don't, or they do, really a lot of the times I get questions day after day. And it'd be crazy to see my inbox as far as former athletes that reach back out and say, Coach, how am I I'm in China playing right now. What do I eat? Or, hey, I just tweaked my ankle. What can I do for rehab? Because it's a little swollen right now. Hey, coach, I really wish I would have paid more attention to the recovery sessions. What can I do? I play again in 3 days, right? I get these questions all the time. And what's crazy is that over the course of their college career, we discuss all of this. We discuss how to fuel, how to take care of your body, why to train, what to do from a training standpoint, from a recovery standpoint, from an applied sports psychology standpoint. But for whatever reason, maybe it's because of the academic load, maybe it's because of their athletic load, that stuff doesn't often resonate in the minds, right? So they leave college and now they have all these questions that they wish they could have answered or wish they had the skills to be able to navigate now that they're in their professional days. So in lieu of that, that's why I started our former athlete society, this Skool community. You can navigate to Skool, Skool.com /former athlete, or you could go to my webpage, adamringler.com /Skool, Skool. You can find out all of the information there. The cool thing about it is for the first 10 former athletes, for the first 10 community members, it's completely free. There's not a monthly subscription. You will get it for free. You'll get access to our educational classroom where I share lessons. So I post all of my content there, not just these videos or recordings of these videos, but I exclusively create content just for that platform to discuss fueling, to discuss your body, to discuss applied sport psychology, to discuss recovery and training and what to do. In addition to that, there is obviously access to our accountability calls. We have those once a week. We have our Q&A calls once a week. We have a twice a month masterclass where I dive in deeper to some type of topic related to your performance for a older body, a post-collegiate body, post-grad body, if you will. In addition to that, there's a leaderboard function. And I find this so fascinating. I think this is the coolest part of our Skool platform is that for every engagement, for every like, for every comment, for every video watch, for every participation in the community, you get a participation point, and those points add up on the monthly, weekly, and daily leaderboard. And we reward the highest monthly participation with free access, FREE, free access to any training program that you like. I have a volleyball program, I have a basketball program, I have a weekend warrior program, I have a push-pull legs program, I have a hoopers program, I have an elite female specific program. You name it, I have multiple programs. And the cool thing is, all you got to do is participate in our community and you get access with your participation points and you can win. You can get a perk of free monthly training exclusively delivered by me through our Bridge Athletic platform right to you. So you have really nothing to lose and so much to gain by jumping into the community platform. And again, first 10 community members are absolutely forever free on our platform. So after 10, we're going to switch to a monthly subscription model. I'm just moving some things on my screen. I got a couple questions from our Skool community members I want to make sure that we answer. And the first one is this: Coach, how do you adjust your training if you're feeling beat up but still want to stay consistent? So listen, I'm almost 40. There's times that my elbows are absolutely battered, right? So I always quite commonly think that consistency doesn't always mean that you have to give 100% for everything that you do. So some days you'll feel run down, other days you'll feel a little bit better. And sometimes you just got to recognize the difference between those 2 days, right? Shift gears. I often say don't try to slam on the brakes. Don't just completely change your program. Don't just stop training program. I often say that the Dan Path quote, we want to make plan B as close to plan A as possible. So if your training program consisted of some type of cardio that day and your knees are hurting, then you probably need to sort of shift gears and try to say, okay, instead of doing cardio with a running program, maybe I jump on an elliptical, maybe I do a bike. Instead of doing bench press today and my elbows are killing me, maybe I do some type of single arm bench press that day, stay away from the affected side, or just change the modality completely. But it's really about trying to be agile, make your plan B as close to plan A as possible. But very often do I just completely seize training. And I often recommend that to older athletes. Another question, how do I balance strength training with staying lean as I get older? And I think that's a great question, number one, right? A lot of former athletes struggle with this. What I often see is that just metabolisms change over the course of, when you're 18 to 22, you're in college. That metabolism looks very different when you're 28 to 32 and you're out of college and you're navigating the professional world. So I still think that the key is, you have to prioritize your protein intake. I think you still have to lift heavy with great intent. I think you need, from a cardiovascular health, from a metabolic health, I still think you need to dial in cardio. I know the trend right now seems to be total steps, but I still think dedicated zone two conditioning offers just a tremendous upside with very little downside outside of the time requirement necessary to do it. Strength training should still be the foundation of what you do 3 to 4 times a week. We've already once talked about, or many times really, and in the Former Athlete Society, talked about the minimum effective dose, 2 strength training days, 2 cardio sessions a week. So for a total of 4 training sessions across the week. But I like to have 3 to 4 days of really heavy compound lifting days. You know me, I've talked about my training, my own personal training. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, resistance days, Tuesday, Thursdays, and once on the weekend is cardio days. That gives me 6 total sessions across the 7 day week. But things like low impact conditioning, incline walking, sled drags, those things, that's certainly helpful. Just keeping your metabolic health going and your body composition in check. And then I really think, like always, and you're going to be tired of hearing me say this, but the real difference maker is just dialing in your nutrition and having consistency there. So you can never out train a poor diet, poor nutrition. And I think that's especially true and important as you get older and you're now sort of graduating or exhausted your eligibility and now you're in the professional world. We certainly have to dial in our nutrition as well. So next question, this one's delivered in our Skool community platform, direct message. What's the best way to manage joint pain while still training hard? And that, I think joint pain it's common, right? Like I said, I'm nearly 40 years old. From time to time, I've been dealing with the left elbow pain. There's days where my left knee from an old wrestling injury from college and some meniscus damage that's in there that still bugs me. But I just, again, much like the first question I answered, you don't have to stop training. You just few adjustments is actually the thing that you need to do. So, you know, prioritize your movement prep. So this is, again, proper warm-ups, making sure you have some basis of mobility design in your exercise program. So whether it's mobility drills or activation work, when in pain, I think modify your lift. So swap high impact or high velocity type movements for more joint friendly alternatives. So what I've seen is I don't do a bunch of dynamic effort. I'm not like personally training for conjugate sort of powerlifting style training right now. But if you had some type of dynamic effort squat or dynamic effort bench and you were dealing with some pain, typically reducing the velocity of the movement certainly helps alleviate some of that. Throwing in some isometrics to increase time under tension can help from a tendon healing standpoint, but also just, joint friendly alternatives. So instead of heavy back squats, maybe you're jumping over to a leg press. Instead of doing strict barbell overhead presses. Maybe you're doing like a landmine press or something like that. So just some alternatives there. Um, like I said before, controlling for tempo, control of the movement. So slow down things, emphasize their eccentrics, throw in some isometrics, just try to reduce some of the excessive loading. And then lastly, most of the time I've dealt with sort of tendonitis or inflammation. All of that can come down to nutritional choices, right? So, did I slack off on my hydration? Whoa, my camera's zooming out. Did I slack off? And now I'm zooming in. Did I slack off on my hydration? Am I consuming enough electrolytes? Did I prioritize, more anti-inflammatory foods, or did I find myself having a little bit more like omega sixes in my diet that might be a little bit more pro-inflammatory? So, nutritional choices can certainly exacerbate your any inflammation in your body and joint pain. So being really mindful about the nutrition choices that you consume and you make. So let's see. This one's actually emailed. So you can also, I'm looking at this next question, and this one's in my inbox. You can email me at school, Skool, at adamringler.com. And you can just email questions. So if hey, coach, I can't make the 9 a.m. calls because I have a stand-up meeting that I have to do, right? Just email me your questions and then watch the recap of this. I post all of our recaps in our classroom setting. There's a module called our Q&A calls. Click in it. I sort it by date. You can end up just like navigating to that date, which would be, I try to post these videos almost immediately there afterwards. And you can just kind of watch the videos from that standpoint. But this one's emailed in. How should I adjust my nutrition if my training volumes dropped? So in college, your training volume don't often drop, right? So yeah, we have 8-hour periods, we have 20-hour in-season periods, but generally in college, you sort of train like a machine. And now I think sometimes once you're out of college and you're navigating family life, you're navigating your professional life, the shred of your social life, most of us probably aren't hitting the same amount of volume, whether it's in practices or training. So I think your nutritional choices absolutely, and that strategy absolutely has to shift for it. So I always recommend keep your protein high. I said a minimum effective dose. Again, I'm not a registered dietitian. I don't pretend to be one on the internet. But 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is a sort of a minimum just to get your required protein intake. I think your carbs should match your activities. I'm an advocate for that. So, a lot of carb cycling in me. If I know I have a higher intensity training day, then my carb intake bracketed around my workouts pre and post and probably during is slightly higher. If I know it's an off day for me, then my carbohydrate intake's a little bit lower. So I match my carbs to the activity, or at least my expected activity for that day. I almost never slash fats too low. I like to have a constant thread of fats and healthy fats just for hormone function. I think that's really, really important as we start to get a little bit older and we're starting to become an older athlete. And then again, timing your meals around your training. So making sure that you have, pre-training carbohydrates if that's what you're trying to do. Sometimes in my zone 2 conditioning sessions, I don't because I'm prioritizing for fat loss. But if I know I'm going into a heavy upper body day or lower body resistance day, then maybe having some pre-training carbohydrates prior to that. Certainly post-workout, I have some more carbohydrates at that point to replenish my glycogen. And I found that doing pre and post generally allows me to have more energy through my workout, but also be able to recover after my workout as well. Then the last question I wanted to answer, because I find this one was actually, listen, I'm still on X or Twitter, but I still get direct messages on Twitter. How do I maintain an athlete's mindset when I don't have a competition that I'm peaking for? So that's a tough question, right? There's not a conference championship that you're playing for. There's not March Madness that you're working towards. So I still try to do, sorry, I'm adjusting my watch here. A lot of athletes struggle with this, right? A lot of post-collegiate athletes, non-professional athletes, former athletes struggle without the structure of having games seasons or, throughout the day. There's no conference awards for life, if you will. So I try to do a couple of different things. I try to set performance-based goals. So instead of chasing maybe aesthetics, or training for a goal, like things like that, uh, set an accomplishment that you can achieve without competition. So maybe it's a bench press number, maybe it's a squat number, maybe it's I want to show up to the gym X amount of times this month number. Maybe I want to run a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon in something. Maybe I want to, even in my neighborhood jogs, I want to run it in 30 minutes and then 28 minutes and then 27 minutes, right? Some level of endurance challenges or speed benchmarks or weight lifted. I think that's a great way of setting some goals rather than saying, I want to win all of our non-conference games or I want to win all of our conference games. I want to go to March Madness and make the NCAA tournament, something like that, because you don't have those tournaments that you can do. Now, if you're big into jiu-jitsu or running or, strength competition, sure, you could look on, your local area and probably sign up for an open meet or some level of race or, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament or something. But if you don't have those, then you got to find and manufacture your own competitive outlets, if you will. And with that, I'd say like again, don't sleep on those competitive outlets, recreation leagues, races, open gyms, pickup games, church leagues, things like that. I think all of those things can keep your competitive spirits sort of aflame and keep them going so that you can still have something to build towards throughout the training week. Um, Stay accountable, right? This is again the biggest one of the second reason I would say that I created the Former Athlete Society is that just by surrounding yourself with like-minded people, a community group, training partners, like our Former Athlete Society, that can help you stay in check. It gives you a reason, it gives you a motivation to keep going. You know that other people around you are training just as hard as you, that have the same goals that you have. And so I think by having a solid training partner or a community group or a school community group, it helps you keep in check and helps you stay motivated. And then the biggest one, and this is sort of Simon Sinek's book or basis of his book, but remember your why. Remember why you're training. You're not just training to train. You're probably training for your longevity. Maybe you're training for your energy. Maybe you're training for your body. Maybe you're training to feel great, to feel younger, to look younger. For me, it's like my kids are only going to get older. Like I have aspirations and motivations to go on skiing trips with them when they're well into their 20s and 30s. I need a body to be able to do that so that I can still have that for my kids and so know what your why is, and that often helps motivate your day to day because you can connect your why with your daily mindset. Because I think again, mindset's everything. You might not be competing on the field or on the basketball court or on the pitch, but you can still compete with yourself every single day that you show up. All you got to do is just show up. So I just wanted to jump on. Like I said, these Q&A calls are roughly, 15 to 20-ish minutes, but we do these Q&A calls every single week. So if you want your questions answered, all you got to do is sign up. And right now I can tell you there's several open slots in our Skool community group. All you got to do is show up. Navigate over to Skool, Skool.com/former athlete. Or if you're like, Adam, coach, I'm just a little uncertain about this. I need more information. What does this Skool community consist of? I have a whole page dedicated to illuminating, to educating, to sharing my why, my intent, why I built this site, and what you're going to get out of it, the value that you will get from joining it. And that is at adamringler.com/Skool, Skool. And you can find out more information there. But again, I always prioritize if you jump on these calls, these are actually live calls. You could jump into this link. It's accessible in our Skool community page. And you click in it, boom, you get to ask all of your questions straight up, one-on-one with me live. But if that's intimidating or you have a scheduling conflict, or you just simply can't make it, you can always email me all of your questions. I try to prioritize the live questions first, but then I jump into our school community member group for a second, and then the email and direct message, on Twitter or any of the socials, that comes tertiary. So if you want your questions answered, jump into these live calls, and I will answer them live in person, one-on-one or one-on-many with you, um, and we'll go from there, really. So again, if you couldn't make this, all of these videos, I know you might be watching it live on YouTube or shortly there afterwards. These are recorded video calls. So all of these are in our school community group. So there, I know I've made some of these public, but many of them are unlisted, and they're unlisted for a reason because these are exclusively for our school community page. So if you want access to more of these videos, jump into it, join our community page, and you'll have access to every single Q&A call, accountability call, masterclass, and all of our continuing education content well within the classroom. And all you got to do is navigate over. It's a mouse click away, and you get to reap the reward of learning and all of the lessons of over 20 years of working with college athletes and helping them become successful navigating that next jump, that post-collegiate jump. So if that sounds like something you're interested, head over to any of those links and then stay posted on our school community page. There's, obviously we have our next Tuesday call, but take a look ahead in the calendar and you'll see when our next masterclass call is. And until next time, I will see all of you then. Keep training.